You know that feeling when someone invites you out and your first thought isn't excitement, it's exhaustion? When you're already planning the excuse before they finish the sentence? Yeah, you're not antisocial, you're not depressed, you're just someone who's figured out that home isn't where you go when plans fall through. Home is the plan. And if you're the type who genuinely looks forward to canceled plans the way other people look forward to vacations, this one's for you. Because today we're diving into the psychology of people who love staying at home, the ones society calls hermits, but science calls something much more interesting. Let's start with the obvious. Your brain is wired differently. While extroverts get a dopamine hit from socializing, from new faces and loud music and spontaneous adventures, your brain gets that same reward from the familiar, from your couch, your routine, the specific mug you drink from every morning. Psychologists call this novelty seeking versus familiarity preference. Some nervous systems crave the new, yours craves the known. And here's what most people don't understand. That's not boring, that's efficient. Your brain has decided it doesn't need constant external validation to feel alive. That's actually pretty advanced. But there's another layer: control. When you're out in the world, you're at the mercy of everything. Traffic, other people's moods, the restaurant being too cold or too loud, random conversations that drain you. At home, you're the architect of your own experience. For people with sensory sensitivities or anxiety, this isn't about being controlling, it's about creating an environment where your nervous system can actually relax. Because let's be real, the outside world is overstimulating. The fluorescent lights, the overlapping conversations, the unspoken social rules you're supposed to just know. Home is where you don't have to perform. You don't have to be on. You don't have to monitor your face or modulate your voice or pretend to care about things that don't matter to you. And that's not laziness, that's self-preservation. Here's something interesting. Research shows that people who spend more time alone tend to have deeper relationships with themselves. They know what they actually think, not what they're supposed to think. They know the difference between loneliness and solitude. And that distinction, that's wisdom most people never find. Because here's the truth. Society has sold us this idea that a full life looks a certain way. Weekends packed with plans, a constantly buzzing phone, stories to post, memories to make. But what if a full life actually looks like Saturday morning with nowhere to be, a book you've been wanting to read, cooking something just because you felt like it, time that belongs entirely to you? That's not emptiness, that's richness, just a different kind. Now, let's talk about the shadow side, because not everyone who stays home is there by choice. Some people stay home because leaving feels impossible, because anxiety has convinced them that safety only exists within four walls, because depression has made even small outings feel like climbing mountains. And for them, home isn't a sanctuary, it's a limitation. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Does staying home make you feel more like yourself or less? Does it energize you, or is it just the path of least resistance? Because one is a preference, the other is avoidance, and knowing the difference matters. If you're staying home because the world is too much, that might be something to work on. But if you're staying home because home is enough, that's not something to fix, that's something to honor. Hit subscribe if this is making too much sense. Because people who love staying home aren't missing out on life, they're just experiencing it differently. They find meaning in the mundane, the way light changes throughout the day, the ritual of making tea, the comfort of familiar sounds. These aren't small things, they're the things that actually matter when everything else falls away. And here's what nobody tells you. The people who love staying home are often the ones who've done the most internal work. They've sat with themselves long enough to know who they are without distraction, without noise, without an audience. That takes courage most people avoid their entire lives. So if you're someone who turns down invitations without guilt, who feels genuinely content on a quiet evening, who'd rather be alone than in a room full of people who don't really see you, you're not broken. You're not missing some gene that makes life exciting. You're just someone who's realized that peace isn't something you find out there, it's something you create right here. Tell me in the comments, are you a proud homebody, or do you think we're all just afraid of actually living? And if you want to understand the psychology behind why some people are meant to be alone, not in a sad way, but in a powerful way, the next video is going to change how you see yourself. Click it, you'll know why.